Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to talk about power stations. In particular, we're going to discuss what I believe to be the best bang for your buck power station in that mid-size range. Before we can even get into brand selection, before we ever get that far, we've got to figure out what our power needs are. That can get kind of difficult if you really want to nerd out and try to get into and learn about watts and watt hours and stuff. And I'm just going to simplify that for you. Look at a 1,000 watt, a 500, or a 300 watt. Let's take this 500 watt power station here. That's going to be my bank account. I've got 500 bucks, if you will, in this bank account. Everything that I plug into this is making a withdrawal off of that account. And so my objective is to have enough money in the bank to supply all of my withdrawal needs until such time as I re-up this bank, which is plug it back in, whether that's solar or at the house or whatever, and get it charged back up. So I leave the house with $500 and I need to return with at least a buck to make sure that I have everything taken care of, right? So that's where I start factoring in how much power I need. One category of power needs would be what I term instant demands, like flipping a light switch. Do I need lights to turn on immediately? A CPAP, if you run one of those, you need that power to be there for you immediately. Running a refrigerator like I run in there. Those things are immediate power supply demands. Something that's a little more not so immediate would be charging capabilities. Charging my cell phone, charging my laptop, tablets, GoPro batteries, those types of things, which is really what most people probably use these for, especially when you get into these 500 watt kind of things. And I brought along a couple of items here. This is a small ceramic heater that a lot of people want to know how they can heat their camp space with these. And I'm gonna tell you right now, just don't. These are power vampires. This little bitty heater here takes about 5 to 520 watts per hour. So that'll drain this in an hour. Again, I'm making a withdrawal of 500 watts off of this. So within an hour, it's going to be done. Something like this drill is variable speed and it can go up to 700 watts. I'll show you these and how they draw power consumption off of this. But it may go from 200 and it's going to be the demands I place on this in turn will dictate the demands placed on this. So stuff like that. If you're running a TV, that's about, depending on the TV, under 20 watts. If it's a smaller one, there's a bunch of things, but just figure out what it is that your needs are, and then that will dictate kind of where you go with a power station. The knee-jerk reaction is, well, just buy the biggest power station you can afford. And while there's some merit to that, here's where that becomes a negative. If you are using this and you want to take it into like a sporting event, we were at a track meet here a few months ago, and the people in front of us had a little power station. It was a little 300 watt, and they were charging their devices and stuff. I mean, if you've ever been to a track meet, it's an all-day event, and so they were charging devices off of that. Now, you could do that with a 1,000 watt for sure. The issue becomes the larger the power station, the bigger the battery, the heavier that power station is. Now, the thing about these little 500s is they are very, very light. And you can get these specs off of EBL's website, and I'll have a link below. But the 500 watt, and I've got a 300, it just doesn't supply enough for me. It's a temporary day thing, but if I try to use that overnight, it runs out of power pretty quick. So 500 watts, my recommendation would be take whatever your power consumption needs are, and if you're looking at a 300 watt power station, go ahead and bump that up if you can do that and afford to do that, and EBL makes that affordable for you, but bump that up about 200 watts and go ahead and jump into that 500. You're gonna have a buffer there of about 100 to 200 watts. So you may, if you are out longer than you plan, or you wind up charging some things that you didn't plan on or powering some things that you didn't plan on, you've got that buffer, and it really, really does. Especially if you're far away and you don't have any solar or recharging capabilities, it really makes that a less stressful event for you. So jump up a couple hundred if you can. Okay, so I'll demo exactly how much of a vampire these things are with this station now, and then I'll run the drill. And so let me come around there and I'll get you a close-up. One of the things that I do wish was different on this particular power station is the display screen is very dim when you're out here in daylight. So that's the only negative that I can really say about it right now. But I'm gonna get the camera, I'll turn this on, and I'll show you exactly how much these little tiny things can take. All right, so 93, that's what we have juice left in here. I've got 0 watts. I'm going to turn this on right here and have you watch right there where that 0 is. So initial jump. Now this is a 500 and I think 519 watt. So you know we're a little above it there. And let me see if I can't get that to activate so I can see it again. There we go. So we're right at about 518, 512. This is going to run that just fine, but it is going to suck that down fast. So we're right at, again, 500, whatever it cycles through. But if you see if we can get this to drop down here in a minute. I just got zinged by a wasp for it. See, we're already dropping. We're already at 91. So you can see how fast that drain, that withdrawal is taking off of our bank. See if I can get that up there. There you go, 91. And I'll leave it up here just a little bit longer so you can see exactly how fast that draws that down. Well, if it doesn't come on and off like that all the time. There we go. 91, 90. So you can see it's moving pretty quick to drain that balance. All right, so we are at 0 watts. I've got this little drill plugged in here. Let's watch that and see. I wish that would stay lit just a little bit longer. All right, here we go. Let's max it out. One of the things that you need to understand when you're talking about power stations is pure sine wave. And just because you can plug your laptop or your device, some type of high-end electronic device, into anything to get it charged up, not all power that's being produced by power stations is the same. You want to make sure you have a pure sine wave type power station, because that means the energy that it's putting out is clean energy into your, and this is the best way to speak in relative terms that everybody can understand. Some power stations create dirty energy, and that's bad for your electronic devices. Pure sine wave is basically saying that, hey, it's good energy, it's clean energy coming out, so it's not going to damage those high-end electronics. That's one thing that you need to make sure that you look for. So why EBL? Well, because I have been using EBL rechargeable batteries in my tactical flashlights for both duty use and instructional purposes for quite a while now. So that was my first introduction to EBL. They've been in business for over 20 years. It was a company that in that realm was very trusted with those types of batteries because of that particular mission being very critical. So I had a lot of faith in EBL. Now there are LiFePO4 batteries. These are like lithium ion style batteries, not to muddy the water, but there's some LiFePO4 batteries. You're going to have more cycles. They're going to be able to run them down and charge them back up, run them down, charge them back up, and get more charging cycles out of them than you are the older style lithium ion. But you're going to pay for that. And here's the deal. By and large, most people, right, the average person is not going to really reap the benefits of that. So it comes into a cost-cutting measure. I have been, and I do this all the time, and I have been extremely pleased with the same battery style that's in my 1000 watt. It performs, I just have no issues, and it's phenomenal price-wise. So whenever you jump down into these, it's even more budget-friendly. And I just don't think that for most people, now that's the caveat, for most people, just these standard lithium-ion style battery packs or power stations, whatever you want to call them, are going to be more than sufficient. And so when you can pick these up, speaking of that other orange and black one, these run about $100 to $200 cheaper than pretty much most of the power stations out there. Now there are some knockoffs. I use that term, it's not really a knockoff. There are some companies putting some really, really cheap power stations out there, and I would caution you, again, you want to make sure you're getting pure sine wave technology coming out of that, not just because they say they are. I mean, they can slap any sticker on there, and there have been testing done on some power stations, but that was not the case. They were putting out dirty energy despite their claims. I don't have that issue with EBL. It's been tested by tons of people online, on YouTube, and so we know the energy coming out here is clean. So it just comes down to price point. do I need to pay for that other stuff? Do I need to pay $200, $300, $400 more for a bigger power station or a different type of technology? And the answer for me is I don't. I don't. Now, EBL sent me this free of charge for me to look at and review. And I'll tell you right now, if it didn't meet what I expected, understanding what my power consumption needs were for a station of this size, then I'd tell you about it. And right now, it's performing exactly as the 1000 watt that I've got in the truck. I love the versatility of it. I love the fact that it's super portable. I love the fact that it's powerful. I love the fact that it can take these things and go above and beyond that 500 and not just shut down immediately as it gets close to that. So it's got a little jump. When you plug all these things in, there's always a surge. So it's got a little bit of surge leeway there. So I like that. I like the fact that I can charge it with solar. I like the fact that it charges fairly fast off my house charger. And then one of the main things for me, and you've heard me talk about this, is pass-through charging. Pass-through charging is imperative to me whenever you're buying one of these. And what that means is I can plug this into a cigarette lighter, a solar power, a wall socket, or whatever. I can plug that in, be charging this up, and then use that same wall power or whatever that external power source outside of this. I can plug things into this power station and they will run off that external. They will not drain this, so this can charge while it's putting power out through that pass-through system. I think that's a wonderful thing to have. I wouldn't buy a power station without it. So guys, if you are in need of a power station and it falls within that 500 watt area, my Whiskey Dog Outdoors #1 pick for the best mid-size 500 watt do-all encompassing power station is the EBL 500. It's served me very well to date, and I'm sure it will serve you very well. Let's go get some lunch, and you guys go get a power station. Thanks for watching, guys.